Hello, I'm Steve Gray, the director of the Michigan Unemployment Insurance Agency. And while we've been working tirelessly to help all of our customers, we realize that is of little comfort to thousands of you who've been waiting anxiously to get a response to questions that you've had. And so over the past several days, we've been taking all those questions, and I've been trying to answer as many of them as I can in 30 minutes. And so I'm going to do that again today. And with that, I'll just dive into the questions that you've submitted here. I've got them on this document in front of me. I'll read off a question and then provide an answer. And we'll get through as many of them as we can in 30 minutes. First question. As a business that is an LLC sole proprietor run by husband and wife, would both be able to apply for PUA? So the PUA is the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance that is also known as federal unemployment, and it's available for sole proprietors. And so if you both have income that you get from the LLC that you report on your taxes under both of your names, then you both would be eligible for PUA and you could apply for it independently. Next question. If I am getting severance pay from my employer, will it cause a delay in processing my unemployment benefits? So severance pay does count as income against your unemployment benefits. This is referring to state unemployment benefits, not the federal unemployment benefits. So you count that as income when it's received and allocated by the employer. So if your employer pays you severance pay and allocates it to a period of time prior to when you filed your claim for unemployment benefits, that actually wouldn't count against you. If they allocate it to a period of time after your unemployment, let's say 3 weeks period of time, then you wouldn't be eligible for unemployment during those 3 weeks. You just need to notify us. You should still file your claim, notify us of the severance pay, and then we'll do the calculation. But after the severance pay period is passed, then you'll be eligible for benefits. So what's the difference between FPUC and PUA? So PUC stands for the Federal Pandemic Unemployment Compensation, and the other is Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. So the PUC is that $600 payment that's getting added to everybody's claim. Both state and PUA claims get that $600 payment added to it. And that started the first week in April. And so if you have claims that you made during after the first week of April, whether pandemic unemployment assistance or state claim, the federal government is adding $600 onto your claim each week. And that will run all the way through July, the end of July of this year. Pandemic unemployment assistance is for people that aren't eligible for state unemployment assistance. So for example, 1099 workers or self-employed workers or people with low wages and low hours, and so they're not typically eligible for regular state unemployment benefits. That pandemic unemployment assistance is for those people, and for the most part, it's for people whose the reason that they don't have income right now is because of COVID, which is most people, and that will last up and through July. Right now, they have 39 weeks of pandemic unemployment assistance available, just like they do with state benefits. The benefit amount is the same as state benefits. The minimum is 160, the maximum is 362. Next question. I certified with MARVIN over the phone. When I logged into my account, it states that I did not certify. Do I have to do it again? So you shouldn't have to do it again, but if you're presented with the option to certify when you go into your online account, you should do it. So what I've been telling with people is if you go into your MyWAM account, into your online account, and they see a link that tells you that you have weeks that are available to certify, you can go ahead and do it. You shouldn't have to once you did it with MARVIN, but if they're seeing a link there, it's all right to go ahead and do it. You might want to wait 24 hours after you certified with MARVIN to see if that link is still there. Sometimes it takes the system 24 hours to update. Next question, I was denied PUA because of an active claim. What does it mean and what should I do about it? So what that means is that you've got a active claim for state benefits available to you. And so there's no need for you to receive pandemic unemployment assistance. So you should be able to certify under your regular state active claim and receive benefits there. That may have shown up for some of you because they just added the federal extension to extend state benefits called PEUC. And so your claim may have expired under your state claim because your 26 weeks have run out. But then you would start on your extension, and that's what the active claim would be referring to. So how do we get technical help to get into our online accounts? So that's a question that we're hearing a lot, and it's an area that we're really focused on right now. We're trying to divert as much of our staff attention and help to helping people get through those and make sure they get into their online accounts. So we've set up a system that when you go and you run and you try to log into your online account and run into a problem, it should present you with the option to click on a link and either send an email or fill out a form with your contact information. And then we have staff that's dedicated just to helping people get through their online access issues. So they you notify us, and then we'll reach back out to you to help you to get through those online account problems. Now that people are reviewing our claims, are you looking at the ones who filed first to resolve those issues before new claims that have just been filed? So as a practical matter, most claims as they're being reviewed, they don't actually require human intervention. There's just a small number of cases that do require human intervention, and we're reviewing the claims that people haven't been paid yet on at all first. So we are looking first at the ones that need to be resolved so that people can get paid, because we want to make sure that everybody gets paid as quickly as possible. So I've received an email saying that there was correspondence in my claim, went online, and it wasn't there. Should I be concerned? So as long as there are no alerts, you should be fine. Just make sure that you click on all the different tabs that are there. Sometimes it's confusing about where new information could show up, and it's not just necessarily under the correspondence tab. So just check all the different tabs to make sure that there's not any information there, and if you don't see an alert, then you should be fine. For those PUAs are populated as of today and certification is complete, when might they expect their first payment? So if you, what we typically say is that you can expect payment between 7 to 10 days. But as a practical matter, just between you and I, that's because we don't want people to call us right away. What really happens, especially if you've got direct deposit, usually the direct deposit happens in 2 to 3 days. But sometimes, you know, now it's taking longer, especially if we're looking over holidays and how fast your bank is. So, you know, hopefully you'll get it sooner, but I wouldn't start getting worried until it gets up to 5 to 7 days beyond when you've certified. This is a frustrating question and for people, I'm sure, and this is one we're getting a lot and one we're putting a lot of attention to. So I've been waiting over a month now. How much longer until these non-monetary issues will be resolved? So we know that it's really frustrating, and these non-monetary issues that are flagged, but we tried to remove all the non-monetary issues that we can that we're allowed to under state law. And the governor has reduced some of the eligibility requirements so that there's not as many non-monetary issues that are raised. But the only issues that are currently standing out there are ones that we can't we can't just brush away. We've got to actually have an individual person look at it. And so most of our staff was focused on the past few weeks just getting the claims in the door and making sure that everybody's allowed to file their claims. And we've had over 1.2 million claims that's been filed. Now that most of the claims are in the door, we're going to focus our attention on all these remaining non-monetary issues that need to be resolved. And so hopefully those are going to get resolved soon. We're working on them every day, getting a lot of them resolved as quickly as we can and taken care of. But just know that our attention is on those non-monetary issues, and you're not forgotten, and we're working on getting those resolved. I've been told to certify this week, but don't have a link to do so. I called Marvin, but the phone line didn't ask me any questions, and I'm not sure if my certification went through. How do I verify it worked? So if Marvin didn't ask you any questions, then your certification on Marvin wasn't available for you to ask. And so I assume this is related to a PUA claim. And those are claims that we've been processing this week, and the certifications have been populating this week. I know some of those were still showing up on accounts last night and this morning. If you don't see that certification in the next couple days, then you need to send us a web notice to let us know. But it should be there within the next couple days. I know you've been told to certify this week, and it should be available for you to certify. And the best way to do it is if you have access to your online account, you should do it there. Okay, this is a little more complicated question. I'm self-employed and file taxes on a cash basis. I often receive money for work that won't happen for months, sometimes years. For example, I received $400 for a June job in January. Should I claim that income in January or June, as an example? So the general rule is, if you're reporting to us what income that you have in any given week, it's income that's earned. So you report the income when you earn it, not necessarily when you receive it. Next question. I was denied unemployment and submitted a PUA application, but I've received an email saying my PUA application has been denied because I already have an active claim. What do I do? So what in all likelihood happened in that circumstance was when we turned on this PEUC federal extension, it made your new claim become active again. And so you should be good, and you should be able to certify when it's your time to certify. If you're not seeing certifications that show up, then you need to send us a web notice to notify us that you have an active claim, but the certifications aren't showing up. But they should start showing up when it's time for you to certify. If you have an open claim and were denied PUA, should you file an appeal for PUA? So as a former lawyer, or actually as a current lawyer, but who formerly represented claimants, I hate to ever tell anybody not to file an appeal. But as a practical matter, if you've got an open claim and you're able to certify, then it doesn't seem like there would be any reason to appeal your PUA. So in fact, if you have an open claim under state benefits and are able to certify, then you're actually not eligible for pandemic unemployment assistance. So there wouldn't be anything for you to appeal. But if you're still worried, you do have the option of filing an appeal. I'll leave that decision up to you. Can I apply for PUA if I receive a 1099-K form for online sales? So yes, if you have 1099 income, you should be eligible for PUA, and so you should fill out the PUA application and then upload whatever 1099 information you have from last year's taxes. as your source of income. My PUA was processed and I was given a weekly amount. Does this mean I'm approved? Do I need to provide more information? So if your weekly amount is $160, which would be the lowest amount, you could provide additional information as to what your income was for last year that would allow you to increase the amount. But if it's more than $160, then I don't think there's any other additional income information that you need to provide. All you need to do is keep an eye on the alerts on MyWAM, and when it tells you that you have weeks available to certify, then you need to make sure that you go in and certify for those weeks. Is there a way to update my income after determination? I'm a 1099 worker and I didn't submit my W-2s with my 1099s. So there is the ability to go back into that application, that PUA application, and upload information. I'm sorry, there was just a little question that popped up from one of the moderators on this, and but anyway, let me get back to this. Question: is there a way to update my income after determination? I'm a 1099 worker and I didn't submit my W-2s with my 1099. So the good thing is about the W-2s, in all likelihood, we took those into account because they were reported by your employer. So every quarter, an employer who files W-2s on behalf of people should be reporting people's quarterly wages. And so we would have looked for those quarterly wages when we evaluated your PUA application, along with that 1099 information that you provided. But there should be an option to upload additional information after you file a claim for PUA. Okay, I filed on March 16th, the day after I was laid off, and was immediately denied. I was still able to certify all my weeks right up until my PUA application was accepted last night. After I certify next week, will I receive back pay for those weeks? Yes, absolutely. Both your PUA application and your state application are all backdated to your last day of work. You should be your benefits will be backdated to that March 16th day off when you were laid off. So I am working part-time. Do I report that on my certification? Absolutely. So when you go in and file your certification, it'll ask you if during that week you worked and what your earnings were. So you have to remember, as I stated before, it's earnings, not necessarily payment that you received. So sometimes payment comes after you earn the money. So it's really important, if you're working part-time, just to keep track of all the money that you earned. And if you don't have a pay stub or payment record of what you actually were paid for that week until after you certify, you're still going to have to report what your earnings are during that week. So I encourage everyone, if you're working part-time and claiming unemployment, you should always keep track of your hours so that when you come to certify, you can report what your earnings were, even if you weren't paid. So the other thing is that you should, when you are reporting that part-time income, you should report your gross earnings before taxes and deductions. You don't take into account if there's money that's withheld. It's your gross earnings that you receive during your, during that week. The other thing is sometimes people get confused as, well, I filed a claim based on one employer. I didn't think I need to report wages from a different employer. As a practical matter, the agency, when it comes to earnings, while you're receiving unemployment benefits, it doesn't matter where you got them from. So if you have wages from an employer, no matter whether or not they were formed the basis for your claim, you still have to report those. So why is it still asking if you're seeking work? Are we supposed to be answering no? So there still are a few claims where that seeking work question is there. I think it may be more likely to show up in the MARVIN system in the phone if you file by phone. But we're working on making sure that seeking work question, as long as that waiver is on, doesn't show up for you to ask. And I think it's fair to ask it honestly. If you're not seeking work, then you can say no. If you are seeking work, you can say yes. But as a practical matter right now, that's waived. So no matter which way you answer that question, it shouldn't affect your benefits. Next question. Should I fill out the option for new payment source found in settings? Some are saying it speeds up the process to certify back weeks, or should I wait for my time period to certify? So, you know, that's a good question. I've had people say, well, I want to change over to direct deposit from my bank account. So I would wait to do that. And by the way, I do think direct deposit can be a little quicker in getting payments, especially that first initial payment, because it takes a while for that bank card to get mailed to you. So maybe I should back up. So I think this question is referring to how your benefits are paid, and there's really two options right now. You can either have the money deposited onto a bank card that I think comes from Bank of America, or you can have the money direct deposited into your account. So I think the fastest way to make sure that you get paid quickly is to have the money direct deposited, especially with that initial claim, because it takes a while to get that bank card in the mail. But if you want to switch from bank card to direct deposit, I'd wait until after you've certified most recently. Then you got the money, you make sure that it shows up on the account, and then switch it over to the new payment source. So that'll give, basically, 10 days or so to make sure that the system has changed. Don't throw that bank card away until the money starts coming in on your direct deposit. And even then, it's probably a good idea to hang on to it until your claim's done. So what should parents do who have to leave their jobs to take care of the education of their children? Do we qualify? So if you've quit your job and you've done it for COVID-related reasons, and this sounds like one of them because right now there's kids are at home, and then you should be eligible for either state unemployment or pandemic unemployment assistance. The governor made sure that was covered in her emergency order around unemployment. I understand if you earn any money while also receiving benefits, your state benefits are reduced, but is the federal $600 also reduced? And if so, by how much? And does that relate to a PUA claim? So either way, that $600 is not reduced. So it would impact potentially your PUA claim, or it would the state benefits, but it's not going to impact that $600. It doesn't, as long as you're eligible for either PUA or state benefits, then you're going to get $600. Next question. Is there any information for furloughed temporary layoff workers? Their situation and filing processes differ from those who were laid off, correct? So it just depends on where you're furloughed from. But as far as unemployment is concerned, we consider a furlough a temporary layoff, and so it doesn't really impact your eligibility for benefits. But there are some places that have furloughed workers that are filing claims on behalf of their employees. We call those employer filed claims. That usually is like large employers that do that, or they're employers that have put people on furlough for some period of time, but they're working part-time, and that could be a work share. In both of those situations, if it's an employer filed claim, if your employer tells you that they're filing the claim for you or that they're putting you on work share, then they are filing the claims for you, and they're also doing the certifications for you. So there shouldn't be anything that you need to do. You can go in, make sure you have a MyWAM account set up, check there to make sure there's not some certification that you need to do that's pending. But if you're furloughed and your employer filed your unemployment claim for you, either through workshare or otherwise, then all that certification and the claim filing process is done by your employer. So the next question relates to that. It says, are furloughed workers required to certify for weeks in which they are paid? Or the weeks in between furloughed weeks? So you have two options there. You can just not certify for those weeks, or you can go in and waive those weeks if you want. After a certain period of time, depending on how long it goes in between your furloughed weeks, it may be advantageous to go in and just waive the weeks so that you don't have to go back in and reopen your claims. Okay, next question. I have two part-time jobs. One is a 1099 gig job that brings in the majority of my income. The other is a part-time hospital job in which I'm currently only working half of that and having to use vacation time for the rest. I am unable to work at all for the 1099 due to immune system, but reporting my other part-time plus vacation income is dropping my allotments on PUA super low, which doesn't help at all. What can I do? So yeah, it seems sometimes the system kind of punishes people for working more than one job, but it's going to take into account your vacation pay and your earnings that you have. So it's obviously not going to count on your 1099 job, so you're going to have to report your vacation pay, and you're going to have to report from the regular job, and you're going to have to report your earnings that you had for that, and then it's going to take that into account and calculate your benefit amount. So the good thing is that even though you may be not eligible for a lot of unemployment benefits, regular state unemployment benefits, or PUA, you're still eligible for that extra $600, which hopefully is helping. Okay, so I applied in mid-March prior to COVID-19. A layoff option was available, was laid off due to my poor immune system. I was approved, certified 5 times, but no income yet. My status under each certification says additional claim needed. Well, will I lose those pre-certified benefits? Should I make an additional claim? So what I think you should do is you won't lose those pre-certified benefits if you were eligible. If there's an additional claim needed, there should be an option for you to file the claim under alerts. If there's no option for you to file that claim under your alerts, then I would contact us by a web notice and let us know that you've been certifying, but you haven't been paid, and there's no way for you to file any additional information. Okay, so this question is, it looks like we're running out of time, so this will be my last question for today. My PUA is still saved as a draft. Is it submitted? So there was some confusion with the earlier versions of the PUA application that said draft, not submitted, but in fact, people got confirmations that it was submitted, and there wasn't actually a submit button. So if you can get back into your PU application and you see a submit button there, then you should click it and submit it. But if not, then you should assume that it's been submitted. And you should be getting notice yesterday, today, tomorrow that your application has been approved and processed. If you don't get any of those and you don't see the option to submit the PUA application, then you need to send us a web notice, and we'll get back to those. So that 30 minutes flew by, and what I want to do as we're closing out here is just say I know that there are people out there that have been waiting to get paid. And the fact that, you know, we've been paying a lot of other people and you haven't got paid yet, I know it can be really frustrating. So just know that you're not forgotten, and that we're focusing the lion's share of our attention right now on making sure that, you know, whatever barriers there were to you getting paid happens. And if it turns out that you're not actually eligible, to letting you know that one way or the other. So thank you for your time.